Welcome back, everyone. Good afternoon. It is a very cold Tuesday afternoon out there today. I'm going to give it a few minutes for people to populate the room. Thank you for joining me on another random live stream. Boy, oh boy, there's never a dull day in British politics, is there? Things just keep getting hotter and hotter. The situation warms up by the second. Now, today, guys, what I want to do, because I know that a lot of you, I can see you all coming in the chat saying hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Love to you all. Later on in the show, I'm going to give you guys the chance, but one at a time, to come onto the show and have your say. So what I'll do is I'll throw open the link, and then as people come on, you will be in the waiting room. When I finished with a caller, a viewer, I will then move on to the next one. Because today, what I want to hear from, I want to hear from those that think I've got it wrong. I want to hear from those that think that we should all back Nigel Farage regardless of whatever he says, because he and reform are our last hope. Now, I will go along with part of that. I believe that reform potentially could be our last hope. But Nigel Farage doesn't have to be the leader of that last hope. Now, let me get into the crux of the matter and why I'm actually doing this live stream this afternoon. There are many things that I can't stand in life, many things I just can't put up with or have around me. But right up there at the very top is treachery, deceit, and bullying. And I've never been a fan of liars or bullies, ever. Never been a fan of bullies. Call me old-fashioned if you like, but I think that is a horrible trait in anyone. And it was bullying, in fact, that first brought my attention to Stephen Yaxley Lennon many, many years ago, after I realised that this guy was the subject of some of the most hideous bullying that I'd ever seen in my life. Now, I'll be honest, I don't want to talk about Nigel Farage. I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to talk about him. I don't want him on my mind. And I certainly don't enjoy having a go at him. And if you don't believe me, this is what I said just yesterday in what was almost a last-ditch attempt, yet another attempt to try for us lot to draw a line under this whole British politics, almost Netflix-like series. I don't want to be speaking about Nigel. I don't want to be dissing Nigel or reform, because I've been, and to a degree, remain a reform supporter, just not the men that are leading it. And there is a difference. You can support a football club, but you don't have to be a fan of the manager. Less than 24 hours ago, I said this, and then listen to what Nigel Farage had to say this morning. Whether you're a fan of Nigel or Tommy or neither or both, it doesn't really matter. We're supposed to be on the same side, right? And I still believe that 99.9% of us are. We all know what we want, and we want the same thing. Unfortunately, for reasons only known to them, both Richard Tice and Nigel Farage have had trouble keeping Tommy's name out of their mouths in recent weeks. And even the most ardent Nigel fan that doesn't like Tommy must surely agree that continually bad-mouthing him wasn't serving any purpose or any good for any of us.
You know, this Tommy Robinson character, who some see as a hero, and all right, you know, he's talked about grooming gangs and other things, although he's hardly been on his own on that, has he? I mean, I was first being condemned in 2012. Robinson's talked about this, but he has a criminal record, a list as long as your arm, violence against women. I mean, I could go on, Nick. Right. And all I'm saying is, look, Mr. Robinson, do what the hell you like.
Mr. Robinson, do what the hell you like. Well, I tell you what, Nigel, how about you just keep your mouth shut? Wouldn't that be a good place to start? Tommy is currently in prison. He doesn't want to join Reform. He doesn't want anything to do with you because of the way that you behaved. And he's not spoken about you. When was the last time that you heard Tommy Robinson talk down about Nigel Farage? In fact, the last message that I personally had from Tommy regarding Nigel was, look, Reform are a great chance. Let's give them a chance. Let's be the bigger man. Let's potentially throw our support behind Reform and see how it goes. And this is the thanks that Tommy and we, because we are all Tommy in that respect, this is the thanks that we get. This man cannot learn. He has a superb academic brain, no doubt, far better than mine, but he has the street nous of a goldfish. Why can this man not learn? Just stay quiet, say nothing. The vast majority of your supporters also support Tommy. Nigel, why are you and no one else splitting your own vote? Tracy says, if we split, where are we? If we split our vote, we lose. You're right, Tracy, we do. But we need to tell Mr. Farage that. Rebel Lion's not impressed. It's like tearing ourselves apart, says Paul. Well, look, you know what, Paul? Maybe we do have to tear ourselves apart to find a real leader. People follow leaders. Nigel Farage is not a leader. Let me tell you something that I would never have repeated. I'm going to tell you something in a minute that I would never, ever, ever have dreamed of repeating had Nigel Farage not deliberately and knowingly, or I would imagine knowingly, he must know, surely he does his research before he says these things. Tommy Robinson, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, does not have no convictions for any violence against women. He has never been charged. He has never been questioned. He has never been arrested for violence against women. So why on earth would you say such a vile thing? Which brings me onto the bit that I never thought I'd heard myself saying, because I don't do that. I'm not a snake in the grass. But let me tell you in return, Nigel, because I said yesterday that every time you attack us lot will reply. And until you get that message, we will continue to reply, because you're acting like a schoolchild that's been caught smoking behind the shed and then wants to lay the blame at all your mates that you were round the back with smoking a cigarette with in the first place. Guys, I want people today who disagree with me to come on the show. I'm going to throw the link in a minute. It won't be a heated debate. It will be friendly, because, look, you're good enough to be watching my show. I want you to tell me in a friendly discussion as to why I've got this wrong, and that we should just forgive Nigel and let him say whatever he likes for the sake of our country. And do you know what? If I thought Nigel Farage was the genuine answer that was really going to give us what we need and what we want delivered in this country, I'd possibly be even willing to swallow his bullying myself. And I think Tommy would as well, because we want and we look at the bigger picture. But I don't believe he is the right man. I believe he's a coward. That's my own personal belief. Now, the bit that I wasn't going to say, but I will say, every single person that I've met in politics, they all have one thing in common. They all tell me that Nigel stabs everyone in the back. Now, I'm not saying that. I am saying that everyone I meet with in politics tells me that Nigel is a backstabber. You make your own mind up. You decide. Is this the speech? Is this leadership quality speech, or is it backstabbing speech? Forget the fact that it's Tommy. Forget the fact that it's Tommy. It could be Ben Habib. It could be Rupert Lowe. It could be Lee Anderson. It could be anyone that Nigel fancies, or let's just say is no longer of any use to him, or of no use to him. Now, my phone, when I say it's literally exploded today, it has exploded. 99% of the people that have written to me today tell me that they've had enough of Nigel Farage. And these are all Reform members. Some of them are former and current, well, let's just say they're party members. Howard Cox has called me this morning to tell me that he stands and backs common sense and freedom of speech like the majority of the nation and that lot. This is common sense. This isn't, you haven't got to be an academic to realise what's going on here. Nigel Farage clearly thinks that he can pull the wool over the eyes of the world's richest man with one of the biggest IQs the world will ever see. Not only is Nigel not clever enough to work out that Elon Musk is probably a bit more switched on than he is, he can't even work out that he can't fool us lot. That's not Prime Minister material. So I'm going to throw in the link to the show. I will allow you guys in one at a time, and I'll give you as much time as I possibly can each, but I will have to bring other people in. We need no bad language, please. Just nice, polite debate, mature debate. Andy says, I unfollowed Farage today after his performance on LBC. Yvonne says, Reform is our last hope, but not Nigel Farage. We need Rupert Lowe to take over from him, and when he takes over, he must reinstate Ben Habib. Ben will be voted in as MP in the next general election. Do you know there's a possibility that, well, there's a number of possibilities, isn't there? Look, Ben could stand as an independent against Reform. Someone just put a message in there saying, Paul, I'm blocked. You're not blocked, mate. I can see your message there. Right, let's have a little look. We've got people coming into the room. Hold on 1 second. Let me just get rid of some of the comments. Oh, there's a few people piling in. Right, John, can you hear me?
Hello, Paul. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, John. Good afternoon, my friend. What would you like to say?
Good afternoon, you. I think. Well,
tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong, John.
Well, sorry, mate. I've hijacked it because I actually don't think you're wrong, mate.
Okay.
I'm with you 100%, and I'll give you the reasons. The minute Tice on that interview, can't remember when it was, when he called us that lot, that's when my blood began to boil. But I thought, let me wait. Maybe he'll get corrected. You know, 24 hours went by, 48 hours, nothing. That's it. I made up my mind. If we're that lot, the leaders are not going to support us.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Alan, sorry, John, do we not want a political party in this country that is really Reform? We don't want another Tory party Mark II and a leader that lies to us and treats us with contempt. Mm. And for me, that is clearly what Nigel Farage is doing, because we must forget that he keeps talking about Tommy, because when he talks about Tommy, he's talking about the white working class. He's talking about not only the white working class, he's talking about many different people that support our movement. Black, white, green, whatever. That just want genuine reform.
Exactly. And to be honest, I walk the streets for reform, well, for the country, leafleting, putting up with some abuse from people, from my local candidate.
Yeah.
And my art was in it. Everything was in it because I thought it was going to be reformed.
Yeah, this was a chance. John, I've got a big queue waiting, mate. So I thank you.
I appreciate that, mate. God bless you, sir.
For that. And you, God bless. Monkeyman is next up. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. How you doing, Paul?
I'm very well, thank you. Do you want to tell me why I'm wrong?
I don't know what's wrong and right, but all I can say is that Tom is like old school union leader. I like his approach to how he battles with things.
Yeah.
And I look at Farage, right? He's a Londoner, a cocky Londoner the way he speaks, but he's more of traditional upbeat London man, the way he is with the government.
He's an educated Londoner. That's why he is.
Yeah, I believe they both need to get together really and sort things out. He has backstab Robin, Tommy, big time.
Look, Monkeyman, you know what? Look, at the end of the day, I don't think we even expect Nigel. Tommy himself has said, to me personally, we don't expect Nigel to put himself at political risk by jumping in bed with our movement and standing next to Tommy at a rally. We're not stupid.
Tommy don't care. He'll stand aside and let Nigel get on with it.
Tommy will stand aside for anyone if it's good for the country.
Exactly.
Monkeyman, thank you very much, mate. I'm going to hop on to the next one. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. Cheers, mate. All the best. Let's have a look. We've got Alan. Good afternoon, Alan. How you doing, brother?
Hello, Paul. I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm very well, my friend. Tell me why I'm wrong. Oh, come back, Alan. Alan, pop back in, mate. I've lost you there. We've got another Alan. Alan, good afternoon. How are you doing? Hope you're well.
Good afternoon, Paul. You're not wrong because you're going by your gut feeling. I've told you, I've told all the viewers before, right? Nigel Farage is a sheep in fox. He's a fox. He's sheep's clothing. That's what he is. He's a fake. He owns the bleeding company. He is not going to stand down. He's a masochist. He just won't. He doesn't like backing down as a child. When he loses, he throws his toys out of the pram. That is Nigel Farage for you.
Well, certainly, Alan, certainly.
So, I'd like to just say this, right? You are right in the way you feel, because I feel exactly the same. But I know more than you about Nigel Farage and the viewers. I can't say on here what I know. It's as simple as that. What I do know, and I've got facts to back it up. It's as simple as that. But that's beside the point. That's beside the point.
We mustn't repeat them on here, Alan. But at the end of the day, thank you, Alan. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, there's one thing, Paul. It's not about Nigel Farage. It's about the country uniting together.
Absolutely.
This all. I mean, look at that woman with Ben the Bee last night on GB News. She hadn't even researched what was she come on GB News for.
Alan, these people feel that they don't need to research. They can just keep continuing to gaslight and fool the British public into believing their lies. Chris Carter Jackson says Farage underestimates TR support at his peril.
Exactly.
The other Alan that was trying to get on a minute ago. One second.
Just let me say this. No way has anybody has heard Tommy turn and say, I want to join and be a part of a team on a parliamentary system, right? That's all I need to say. Because he hasn't said that. He wants to continue being a journalist. Let the lad be alone and let him continue being a journalist, I say. And stop slagging him in the mainstream media. And Nigel Farage needs to zip it, because he's going to lose a lot of followers, and a lot of followers indeed. Ben the Baby's right. There's no way he's going to make that party into democratic and be properly. So for people...
Alan, thank you so much. Alan, I'm going to have to stop you there, my friend, because we've got another Alan that wants to come in. Thank you so much, mate. Look after yourself. Take care. Alan Charles, good afternoon, mate. He's gone again. He keeps coming in and out. Look, I've just put the link in the chat again. I'm really keen to hear from someone that actually disagrees with me this afternoon. If I'm wrong, please come on and explain to me why. I'm not looking for conflicts. I'm not looking for hefty debate. I'm honestly willing to listen, because I believe that the only way that you learn in life is by listening to other people's opinions and being able to step back and think, you know, did I get that right? Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. Maybe that's some advice that Nigel might want to think about. Tell me why I'm wrong. Good evening, Pete. Good afternoon, Pete. You'll have to turn your sound down, mate.
Yeah, I am working on it. Hang on, I've got about a dozen sliders to deal with.
You'll have to turn your sound down, mate.
Yeah, is that better?
That's better, mate. What's your point, mate? What you got on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, Farage. I'm an ex. Yeah, I'm an ex UKIP member. And when Farage jumped ship with UKIP, I knew straight away there was no point in supporting him, and he has proved that theory absolutely correct. I think he needs to be gone. Reform needs to lose him completely. Forget about him. Get Ben Habib or someone else in. Farage is a lost cause. He's going to cost the party votes.
History seems to be repeating itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He did the same to Gerard Batten, who I think is a great man. Gerard Batten, for me, is one of the greatest prime ministers that we'll never get. He's an exceptional human being.
Yeah.
And for me, Nigel ruined Gerard Batten's chances with UKIP. Pete, thank you very much. I've got a lot of feedback there, my friend, so I'm going to thank you and let you go. Really appreciate it. 1 second. Sean, you're up next. Sean, good afternoon, my friend. How are you doing?
Hi, Paul. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly, almost professional like.
Wonderful. Yes, I've been watching you for a little while, and I think this is maybe an awkward thing to address, but I just feel like all of the leaders that are coming out, I mean, you spoke about Nigel Farage being an educated Londoner, as you put it, but every leader like Farage, I think Rupert Lowe, Ben Habib, they're also very educated, middle-class people, kind of well-spoken, like, you know, obviously I'm quite middle-class myself, as you can probably tell, but, you know, why... My question really is, like, people can discuss this, is why are you looking to the middle class to sort of represent the interests of the working class? Because it seems to me time and time again that's not what happens.
Oh, so what a great question, Sean.
Why not have I mean, and I would honestly say I'd rather have you in charge than some of these other people, because I've been listening to you. I think your heart's in the right place. I think you've shown real humility in the way you conducted yourself today. You're always sort of asking where you could be wrong. So at the end of the day, if you're not working, you know, I'm not working class, so I can't obviously speak to that, but you know, you're looking out for the interests of working class. You've got to be working class, haven't you? Well, what do you think?
Well, I think, Sean, it's a great question, and I thank you for the compliment. I personally would say that I'm not suitable, and I tell you why, because I think that snobbery in the United Kingdom is a thing of tradition. We going right back long before the days of the Victorian times. Look at the way the armies were. You could walk straight into the British Army and become a captain if you had the right education. This is part of our history. And I accept that to a large degree. I think you're absolutely right that we shouldn't allow accents and backgrounds to necessarily judge people and exclude them from becoming politicians. I'm not sure that Middle England has the same approach to this as you might. I mean, people that watch these shows, we're switched on, we're awake. But if you go and knock on Mr. Jones's doorstep at number 55, who buys the Daily Mail and watches the BBC, and I'm afraid.
A good friend of mine, I mentioned Tommy to him, and he just said, "Oh, he's a racist, isn't he?" And I asked him why he thought that, and he had nothing at all.
They never do.
He's a great guy, my friend, but he's just been, like you say, he's just been reading the BBC, so it just seeps in.
Yeah,
and it's prejudice, isn't it? It's prejudging something before you've even examined it.
Exactly. Sean, I've got a huge list of people waiting to come on here. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it, mate. Please hop on again. Thank you so much. Where we got Jim? Jim's next. Jim, good afternoon, my friend.
Hello there, Paul. Can you hear me all right, mate?
I can hear you very well. Tell me where I've gone
Excellent.
wrong.
I'm not sure you've gone wrong, mate. I just wanted to make a point, really. Farage is going on about Tommy supposedly being violent to women, but hasn't he got a member of his own party that actually a committed, person that's done a bit of damage to women?
Well, you know what, Jim, you're absolutely right. And I was going to be a gentleman and not mention that because I think James McMurdoch is actually a really nice person. From what I know about him, he's a nice guy.
Totally agree with you. Yeah,
and I don't want James McMurdoch dragged through the mud because of Nigel Farage's loose lips.
Totally agree with you there, Paul. Totally agree. But it just seems appalling.
But actually, do you know what? I'm pleased that you've made that point because it saves me from avoiding it.
Yeah, well, I don't mind doing that, mate, because I think he needs to be called out on this because it's rubbish, isn't it? Really, absolutely. What it's going on about, to accuse Tommy of being a woman beater live on national radio, frankly, is a disgrace. And if it was anyone else, the lawyers would be scrambling. No win, no fee lawyers will be scrambling to be first in line. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think my only point really is if the Starmer government falls tomorrow, then I think we've got to vote reform and get Nigel in there.
Jim, let me tell you, the Starmer government is not going to fall, not for a while at least.
No, I've prayed a lot. But
yeah. Jim, thank you so much for your time, mate. I really appreciate it. Excellent. Thank you, mate. Shadley is next. Shadley, good afternoon. How you doing, brother?
Good afternoon, Mr. Paul. I'm good, and yourself?
I am very well, thank you. What's on your mind, mate? Tell me why I'm wrong. We've just lost you, mate. We've just lost your audio for a minute.
Can you hear me now?
That's better. That's better.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to say, firstly, I'm not British. I'm South African. All right. So I thought I would give you my opinion from what I see on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I see is that, Tommy would be classed as an absolute hero. He would be classed as the Nelson Mandela in South Africa. But something that blows my mind is why he is seen as such a villain,
Why is he such what?
Why he is seen as such a villain.
They portray him as a villain, yeah.
Exactly. I've looked at everything. I've listened to you. I've heard the arguments you had in the beginning. When you didn't really come out publicly, you first gathered all your facts. I was on your fence, and I was listening, and I saw you were carefully asking questions, probing, and when you've gathered all your facts, you said, you know what? I think I've seen enough. And I said that too, and I defend him more than the own British people defend him, and I just don't understand why.
Yeah.
And something tells me that there's a big classism divide in the UK. Something you mentioned.
100% well said.
For example, in South Africa, we don't have that. Yes, in South Africa, we have black and white, but we don't have this classism divide. And in the United States, they don't have that as well. Where even you can see. And the last point I wanted to make, Paul, just to be quick, the thing that I admired about the Trump movement was that Trump accepted everyone. Trump brought everyone in, and that's why they won.
And that's why I've always said from the very first day that I started talking about politics, let's unite. Everyone.
Absolutely.
Everyone that has red, white, and blue in their hearts, let's unite. I don't care a goddamn fig about colour, race, religion. I honestly, mate, I really couldn't give a shit.
Exactly.
I really couldn't care. You know, do you live in South Africa or are you here in the UK?
I'm on your waters now. I came, I moved over there, dropped into the culture, going to church, doing the whole thing. You know, I love it.
Well,
I see the UK as a better future than South Africa.
Well, clearly you're a credit to our country, and I'm so glad that you're here, mate. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Really appreciate it. All the best,
Lovely
brother.
stuff,
Take
Paul.
care. Thank you, mate.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We've got John White up next. John, good afternoon. How you doing?
Good evening, good afternoon, and good afternoon to all your listeners and viewers. There's no doubt in my mind that the police will be listening and watching everything that we say. So good afternoon to the Metropolitan and Manchester Police as well. Nothing I'm going to say is uncontroversial. And Paul, I'd like to just link up one thing, that Keir Starmer yesterday attended an NHS meeting and he successfully deflected away the concerns that we have about the NHS towards the criticism that was levelled at him from Elon Musk, a man who will form part of the administration of Donald Trump. Now, the concerns I have are that it's our NHS. We paid for the NHS out of our taxes, and the NHS are the last and first bastion and bulwark against child abuse. And what Keir Starmer did yesterday was deflected our attention away from that bastion and safety net of child abuse. We had Sarah Sharif recently, and we've also had Victoria Clumby and Peter Connolly. And Keir Starmer successfully deflected our attention away from our NHS towards criticisms levelled against himself and Jess Phillips. Now, returning to what you're saying this afternoon, sir, Nigel Farage is a force of politics, but Elon Musk and Donald Trump are a force of nature, as is Tommy Robinson. Now, he came out and said things which were unpalatable to the liberal Labour elite of Islington. And the liberal Labour elites of Islington do not speak for us. They don't speak for our country. And they try to meddle in American politics. And they have sown the wind. And Donald Trump and Elon Musk will reap the whirlwind. And we, Paul, all of us can just sit back and watch, because we are powerless between a force of nature and a force of politics. The Starmer government won't fall. It won't fall because it's never really stood. And Tommy Robinson is a convicted criminal. But then again, so is Sir Stephen Fry. So are Lord Archer. And every sinner has a future, and every saint has had a past. And somewhere between the past and the future, and between a sinner and a saint, Tommy Robinson has to find a way to move forward. Now, where I disagree with you, Paul, the problem that you have is you are a phenomenally loyal, honest, decent, hardworking man. Your honesty, your decency, your integrity, standing by people like myself and others, that's not tolerated in politics. So that's the only criticism I would level against yourself. You're a good man, and we have to stand by our friends. That's all I've got to say, and I welcome any comments or criticisms. And one last thing. A friend of mine, Sebastian, who is a supporter of Nigel Farage, gave me this hat. And it's practically a criminal offence to wear this hat in this country. Make America great again? As a Scotsman, all I've got to say is, make England great again. Make our country great again. And together with your honesty, your integrity, and your dynamism, we'll do it. That's all I've got to say, sir. Thanks very much.
John, thank you so much. Caller of the afternoon so far. All the best, John. Thank you very much for your comments, mate. We've got Jackie coming up next. Jackie, good afternoon. How are you?
Hello, Paul. How are you, love?
Well, look, Jackie, I'm all the best for
You
seeing
look stressed. The last couple of days, you look well stressed, mate.
Well, listen, Jackie, when you get no sleep and your phone's ringing 24 hours a day, Jackie, do you want to tell me where I'm going wrong?
Yeah, the only thing you've done wrong, mate, is not do this a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. But look, going on to Farage, he's not going to let go of reform. He's treating that party like his own toy that he got at Christmas. And he's a safe bloke. He went to Clacton. Why didn't he put himself in somewhere major? He didn't.
Yeah.
He just wanted his backside in Parliament and then shove us off to one side.
Easiest seat in the country for him, wasn't it?
It was. It was. It was.
You know,
It was.
I think,
Anyway, you've got plenty of other people to talk to, I'm sure.
no,
Look after
Jackie,
yourself.
thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Jackie. All the best. Have a lovely week. Ben has been waiting patiently. Tony, I'll be with you soon. I've popped the link in the chat. I'll do it once again. If anyone wants to come on and tell me why I'm gone wrong, please let me know. There you go. Don't be shy. I don't bite. Ben, good afternoon. Ben, can you hear me? No, I can't hear you, Ben. No, can't hear you, Ben. Sorry, mate. Ben, I'll put you in the back room, give you a chance to sort your audio out. But unfortunately, there's no audio there. Can't hear you. Let's have a look. Tony, good afternoon, Tony.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm very well, Tony. Tell me where I've got it wrong, please. Someone tell me where I've got it wrong.
Well, one of the latest, you know, what Farage has said, you know, about the violence against women, you know.
Despicable.
He was totally wrong on that. Totally wrong. I've followed Tommy now for, I don't know how many years. He's not, we all know he's been a bit of a naughty boy. I think that the way reform is going, they have to distance themselves quite a bit from the likes of Tommy. Now, I admire Tommy for what he's done. He's been just unbelievable, but he has got himself into a hell of a lot of trouble.
Tony, I agree with you. But I think where we might slightly disagree is that Tommy has not been trying to associate himself with reform. When you say that reform needs to distance themselves from Tommy, that's fine. But you don't distance yourself by constantly talking about him. And this is what we've been saying to reform since before the election. Look, keep stum. We've got your back. You have ours, and we'll meet somewhere down the road later on, right? But he just cannot keep his gob shut.
Yeah, it's true. I get what you're saying. I think mainstream media has got a hell of a lot to do with that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they won't leave that alone. You know, anytime Nigel Farage is, you know, on one of their shows, no matter what it is, whether it's Sky News, you know, BBC, or whoever it is, they will always bring up Tommy Robinson.
Well, here's the answer to that one, Tony. It's like Ben Habib, who is, you know, a great guy. If you ask Ben about Tommy or anyone that he's never met, he'll say, look, I've never met the guy. I'm not going to be naive enough to believe everything that people tell me about him. When I've met the guy, I'll let you know. But look, it's very simple. You just look, politicians are adept at avoiding answering questions. They are masters at avoiding questions. You can't tell me that Nigel hasn't got the brain to avoid a question if he wants to avoid it. Because if he can't, he'll never be Prime Minister, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, what Nigel needs to do, he needs to do a bit more homework, you know.
Yeah.
He needs to see the films, you know, he needs to YouTube them. There's plenty on the internet, you know, that they can, you know, I've been watching it today. I'm not in England, by the way, I'm in Sweden.
Let me ask you a question, Tony. If you're going to go to war verbally with someone, do you not do your homework on that person before you go to war with them? Or do you just repeat what you've been told by someone else time and time again?
Well, that is it. You do need to do your own work if you're going to go to war with someone. And that is something I don't think Nigel Farage has done. I've sent Nigel Farage so many tweets, you know, so many comments on Facebook, but you can't get an answer from anyone. You know, they'll put it out there. You reply to it, you know, you comment on it, but you'll never get a reply back.
Yeah.
That's the frustrating part of it. You know,
Tony, I'm going to have to move on because we've got a lot of people waiting to get in. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it, mate. Right now, I've got someone that's waiting to come in the room, and his name is Britain is Racist. Now, I want to bring you in, my friend, but you're going to have to put your camera on, because I can't let you in with a username like that without your camera on, because I don't want to hear, I don't potentially want any bad language being used. Ben, are you back now? Can you hear us? Ben, we still can't hear you, I'm afraid, my friend. There's still no audio, Ben.
Can you hear me now? Any good?
That's better. Got you, Ben, got you.
Sorry, I do apologise. Technical issues.
No, you're all right. Tell me where I've got it wrong, my friend.
Well, I thought you had. I'll be honest. Like when I saw the post against Nigel, my heart sank, and I thought the last thing we need is to split the vote here. You know, and I put a comment on your post, which I have apologised for in another post, but
no, that's fine, mate. I don't take offence.
United.
Just spit it out, mate, because listen, we're all on the same side. We're all on the same side.
You know, because we need strength, and I thought we don't need to split this thing. But then I've seen Nigel do a few more kind of videos recently, and I'm just so disappointed. It's like he's got this blind spot, and I don't know where it's coming from, and it's Tommy, and I just do not understand it. I don't know. I just do not know where it's coming from. I mean,
is it possible?
Blind spot, and it is.
Is it possible that Nigel just doesn't like people that are more popular than he is? Maybe, but if he needs popularity to be PM next, then he's got to get over that. My backing now is with Ben. If there's any chance of getting Ben back in, great guy. Yeah, absolutely. We'll see. Absolutely. Now, look, I like I said right at the top, Ben, if I've got something wrong, or if someone can teach me why I'm wrong, I'm happy to listen, because if I am wrong and they're right, I've learned something. That's the way I look at it. Yeah, fair enough. Ben, thank you so much for being patient. I really appreciate it. We've got Andrew coming up next, and then Lisa. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it, mate. Andrew, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good morning. I'm actually in Florida. But
you're in Florida.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
I like the background there, mate. Excellent. and what I tell you what I don't need, Andrew. I don't need any weather updates. Right? No. We don't need to know what it looks like out of the window.
No, none of that. Not going to any of that.
Fire away, mate.
Most people have to shovel snow off their driveway every day, and I do the same thing. I had to shovel 6 inches of sunshine off the driveway this morning. So I'm not talking about the weather either. I'm tempted to chuck you out. Go on, mate. What's on your mind, Andrew? Just a few things. So I think you nailed it in a comment a few minutes ago. Nigel doesn't like the idea of anyone being more popular than him. He needs to be the king of reform, and he's worried that Tommy is somehow stealing his thunder. And of course, Tommy doesn't even want that thunder. I mean, he's made that clear. So the sad thing is that Elon Musk really did get it right. And both you and I knew this before Elon spoke, because we were both on Twitter about this. Nigel's a good man, and he's done good things for reform, and reform is the answer. But Nigel was taking it as far as he can. And how, if they can make that transition to a new leader, I think we'll have a chance. My favourite, again, is Ben Habib. If you saw him last night on TV, just that one, it was absolutely explosive, just as normal. The guy is absolutely phenomenal. And that's what we need to try and get some real political change in the UK. Because what's going on, the cover-up has been appalling, but Nigel was just a politician. And we've seen what all the politicians do. We've had 15 plus years of covering up. Yeah. We don't want more. We don't need more of that. So I think that you are dead right in your views and the comments that you've made. And you're not backing Elon Musk. Elon Musk has just come round to the way you were thinking before. And I watched your show, so I've heard some of the reservations that you've had, and I've had them myself. They're on my X account. I'm under WizzlinX on X, by the way. And so we saw this coming, and it's regrettable. And I do not understand why Nigel cannot learn. I mean, you'd think that he could learn from his mistake, but that LBC news show yesterday, I watched it all. It's shocking. He can't survive from that. We have to have something different. And so you are right to keep pushing this and keep pressing this. And I'm a reform guy. I voted for reform I was there in October in your rally. Didn't like the weather, but you know that was okay. And I'm a staunch supporter and believer in what Tommy has done. The guy's not perfect. Well, you know, get a ticket and get in line because he is.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be a politician. He doesn't even want to be a member of a political party. But what he's done to shine light on this is literally more than any other man in Britain, probably more than all politicians combined.
Put together,
So you have to listen to him. You don't have to become a member of his club because he doesn't have one, but stop rubbishing him. Focus on the message and unite the party, unite the right, unite the centre right, because there's too many left-wing parties that haven't done anything. We need something different. So
and they're enjoying this right now. Andrew, I'm going to now give you caller of the afternoon because I think that was a brilliant message. Despite your boast about the weather, so I'm going to kick you out now for that. But mate, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Lovely. Lisa is up next. Lisa, how you doing?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
How are we doing, Lisa?
I'm good. I am in Cornwall and I am where everyone's heads are in the sand. Seriously, nobody has a clue what's going on. I'm trying to explain what's going on in the greater outside of all the rest of the counties. And
well, Lisa, from what we're hearing about the potential influx coming your way very soon, now I would suggest that their heads are going to be out the sand fairly quickly.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it every day. There's Cornwall, as you all know, it is predominantly white down here, full of older generation. That is how we tend to go. And it is changing massively. I'm seeing it week by week by week, but people don't seem to be. So, and that's kind of where I was coming from, to say, like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I want to say you're wrong, but to give you some, you know, good TV showing.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is, we need a change. We do need a change, and I wonder I voted for Reform. I kind of regret because it got Labour in, and that's the worst team I wanted in.
Yeah.
But is it not just a better idea to get Reform in? I don't know where I need to vote next. I finally managed to change my younger generation children who are in their late 20s, who all voted Labour because they're all in that uni.
Uni brigade. Yeah.
So, but they're coming onto my side of seeing things now. In fact, one of them's emigrated to Australia, and they're even seeing some of it happening over there now. But it stops them from wanting to come home as well. So I wonder. I don't think UKIP is probably strong enough to come in and make that change.
I agree.
So what do we do? I mean, Farage has relations with the US. You know, he's a very strong candidate. Yes, he stabbed Tommy in the back. Well, he stabbed most of the UK citizens in the back, to be fair. But it's, to me, is it just that he's trying to get the left votes? Is he just trying to scoop everyone in and keep everyone happy?
I think, Lisa, that Nigel is a victim of his own ego. Now, let me tell you what I think this is potentially going to play out. And if it does, it will make a Netflix series that nobody will probably believe. So they may not make it. But I can see Elon Musk making an offer to buy Reform. Yeah. Because basically it's a limited company. Yusuf came in at, I believe, £250,000. Which is pocket change to Elon Musk. I mean, he won't even know that he's done it.
Yeah.
I could see potentially Elon Musk buying out Reform, replacing Nigel with Rupert Lowe or Ben Habib as leader, and then, by golly, we have a party that we could support, unite this kingdom, and win our goddamn country back.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. Oh,
how nice would that be?
PM. Oh, God, yes.
Now, let me tell you something. Lisa, is that a few months ago, I was invited to meet Ben Habib, and I hope Ben won't mind me saying this. And I met Ben in London, and we had an hour or two together alone. And I walked out of that. I'm nobody's fault. I was brought up in the streets of South London. I've been a successful businessman. I know good people, I know bad people. When I tell you something, I walked out of that meeting and I thought, wow, that's the man who we need as PM. Because he is not in this for Ben Habib. He is not in this for the money. He is in this for the people of this country that he adores with every single piece of his being. He's a great man. And we have to support Ben. We have to support people like Rupert. And I just hope and pray that Elon will come along and help us save this country.
Absolutely.
For everyone that lives here, no matter what goddamn colour you are, I don't care. We just want peace, happiness, harmony, a law that is equal for everyone, without fear, without favour, that doesn't put people in jail for silly tweets, that does put people in jail for touching our kids.
Absolutely. 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 And I've got 2 daughters, so I'm very, very strong on that.
Yeah.
Completely. And also I work in education, and I've also seen how in education I was a safeguarding officer, and how we have to safeguard our children, and it's to teach them things I wasn't happy with.
Absolutely. And Lisa, I'll say this, I'll finish with you with this, and thank you so much for coming on. I don't care if they come and put me in jail. I will never stop saying that we must protect our children. They are the most precious thing that God ever gave us. And if we can't protect them, we're worthless. And if they want to come along and stick me in jail for that, they know where I live. Lisa, thank you very much. Look after yourself.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you.
Thank you. All the best. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Flogging journalist, you're next. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, really good.
Are you going to tell me that I'm wrong?
No, not exactly. No. Well, no, not at all. I want to talk about Nigel Farage and some of the things he's been saying about Tommy, for instance. Just things why that it's so important that he's been in jail 3 times and stuff like this, and why he's been in jail.
Why? So, that's the reason. Why has he been in jail? Yeah.
Well, I just recently looked up some stuff that Farage has been talking about Mandela, Nelson Mandela, and not many people will probably know that Farage actually thinks of Mandela as being, I wouldn't say equivalent to Jesus, but up there somewhere. What Farage doesn't realise, I believe, about Nelson Mandela is before he was the great good guy, that man killed innocent people. Tommy hasn't killed anybody. He might have been to jail a couple of 3 times. Mandela was in jail for, was it 27 years, but he killed people.
I mean, look, I'm going to be honest. I'm not an expert on Nelson Mandela or South African history, so I can't confirm or deny or argue or debate that fact with you. I know he was in prison for terrorism. I know that eventually he became president of South Africa, and I know that he's a man that's very revered right across the world. But you're absolutely right. Tommy has never hurt anyone. He's never beaten up women. Contrary to what Nigel Farage has claimed today, yes, he has been in prison for a trumped-up mortgage fraud. Big deal. He's been in prison for contempt of court, for repeating something that the BBC had already stated. I believe he's the only man to ever go from arrest to court without a trial, without a jury, to prison in one of the shortest times in British history, I think about 24 hours. So the state have stitched him up 100%.
Yep. And Farage isn't doing us any favours by, as good as telling lies, the equivalent of lying. And then how he can in another breath talk about, as I say, a man who's killed innocent people. I don't understand it. Well,
there's a lot of look, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on with Farage today. Like I said, I don't want to talk about anybody else that he has in his party or anyone else who he had on his stage at the Reform Conference. And it won't take a lot of working out if people can get an idea of who I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention them. I'm not going to drag them through this mud. But Nigel has people around him that has convictions for things that he's knocking Tommy Robinson for, that he's not guilty of. The hypocrisy is insane.
Yep.
Insane.
Well, I just hope that your viewers and you yourself, Paul, would look up, Google what Nigel Farage has said about Nelson Mandela. There's lots online.
I'll have a look.
Look it up. I think it'll surprise you.
I'll have a look. Vlogging journalist, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I've got a couple of people waiting in the waiting room there. They haven't got their cameras on, but if you can, I'd really appreciate it. Joe, can you hear me?
Hiya, Paul. Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Joe. What would you like to say?
I'm going to say something that you could probably ban me from your show. I'm not going to swear or anything like that.
Yeah.
I agree with you with regards to Nigel Farage. I always have felt that with Nigel Farage, I wish that we were at a stage in our society where we could have a completely different system in place, which is not reliant on politicians. Because if you think about it, politicians have been the root cause of the problems, not just in our country, but all over the world.
They take us to wars and everything, don't they?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's not the people that go to war, it's our politicians and our government. But I understand and I appreciate we're not there at this moment in time. I get that. And we need something. But I don't want us to be driven down a path where there's wolf in sheep's clothing. And I feel this is what's happening. And I feel all this division is purposely done, whether it's the media, and it's to pit each other against each other and to distract us from the real cause.
So are you saying that Nigel is a establishment puppet?
I think, but I think it's so much more bigger than that. And Paul, you've got an open mind, and all I ask you, this goes much, much deeper down the rabbit hole. And we don't have to agree on everything. This is the good thing about this show. We can have a good, sensible conversation and we can agree to disagree like proper civilized adults.
As long as it's legal.
As long as it's legal and there's no swearing, there's no abuse or anything like that. Can I ask you to look up 2 things for me? I appreciate you're a very, very busy man.
Yep, go for it.
And you don't have to agree. You can just look at it and take your own stance on it. One is called the Kalergi Plan, which June Slater, and I don't want to keep bringing June up. I've never met her, and she's probably thinking, why is this woman bringing her up? But she touches on this because it goes much deeper, and it will explain how this has come about, why our country and the Western countries are like they are, why he's gaining more power. The only controversial thing, I don't think it's controversial, but I'm going to say it, Elon Musk is not your friend. Because Elon Musk, I've done a lot of research on him, and so have a lot of other people. He's very much into, and call me batch, excuse my language, shit crazy. I'm not. I don't care. He's very much into transhumanism, and he's pushing AI. And he's not your friend. He's your front man for the WEF, the World Economic Forum. And all I ask is people. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not a know-it-all.
No, you're saying have a look. What you're saying is have a look,
I'm just saying, please, everyone, question everything. Question everyone. Don't even take my word for it. Just question everything. We are at a place at the moment. We can't afford to go any further. If we get things wrong, there's no turning back. And all I ask is for people just to question everything, everyone. It doesn't matter who they are, whether it's Trump, Elon Musk. I wanted to say something else, but I can't say it on this channel. All I'm going to say is...
Joe, what I will say is you're right that we should question everything. And the reason we are in the state that we're in right now is because in the past we haven't questioned enough.
Yeah, we've been too trusting and we've turned a blind eye, not deliberately. And I don't know everything, Paul. I'm still learning, so I'm not a know-it-all, but I'm saying this for the purpose of humanity. And I do feel that we're being pitted against Muslims, Christians and Muslims. And there's a plan. And all this economic migrants coming over has all been I can't say the word.
Orchestrated.
Yes, there's so much. There's a bigger thing going on, and it's all connected. And this is not by circumstance, because
Joe, we go back. Sorry, Joe. I'm going to have to move on because we've got people waiting in the room. But thank you very much, Joe. What I tell you, what I will say, I agree with you on this. Look, what we need to do is we need to unite. And that's
Yeah,
the bottom
we
line.
do. We do without this division. And can I ask you another thing quickly,
Sure.
Paul? Sorry, because I know you've got other callers. To look up a guy, he's got his own website called thecrowhouse.com, and his name is Max Eigen. He's been researching for 40, 50 odd years. He's been banned from Facebook. He's been banned from YouTube. He's been speaking out a lot of what's going on at the moment, and he has done for years. And all I say is just have an open mind and take your own stance on it. If you come back and you find something different, all well. But thanks, keep it up.
All the
Paul.
best,
Keep
Joe.
up the good work.
Thank you very much. See you soon. Thank you. Blue Van Man, good afternoon. How are we doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, Paul. Are you?
I'm not too bad, mate. I mean, I feel at the moment, I feel like I'm in the middle of two charging bulls, trying to keep them apart, you know. But what's on your mind, mate?
Well, we actually crossed messages, didn't we? Can you remember?
Yes, I do.
I bet you. Yeah. You know what, mate? I love watching your stuff, and but I think with this one, we've got to look at a bigger picture. I agree with a lot of what you say and everything, and I support you. Like-minded people, yeah.
Mate, I don't even mind if you don't support me. It's whatever.
No. Well, I'm the same. I don't mind if people don't support me. I'm quite happy. I just want people to question what the hell is happening to our country and the world.
Yeah.
And I love your loyalty towards Tommy. And I like Tommy. I rate him. I think what he's been doing is, you know, it's second to none. He's put his life on the line. And I love your loyalty to him. But I think this is a little bit, well, it's not a little bit, it's a lot bigger than Tommy. And I think...
I agree. And Tommy agrees. Tommy agrees with that as well.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think that this is going to sound bad, but don't take it bad, mate. But
no, go for it.
Yeah, things like this could be damaging the future of reform growing. I don't want another politician like Starmer, Sunak, Cameron. We've seen with the Tories, when they didn't get the person in charge who the money men, the faceless suits behind the scenes didn't get, they got rid of Liz Truss, and they'll get rid of Kemi as well because it don't fit their plan. And I think it doesn't really matter. And I think what we need to do, I mean, it's a shame Tommy can't actually come out and say, look, people get behind reform. I know Nigel's giving him a lot of crap and he's, you know, it's that kind of thing. But I just think it.
Can I just stop? It is. Can I just stop you for a sec? Because there's a lot going on there that I want to pick the bones out of. First of all, Robert Jenrick will lead the Tories into the next general election. I guarantee it. But let's go back to what you said earlier on. I mean, yes, look, I agree. The bigger picture is what's important here. When I visited Tommy in jail, he said to me, Paul, it doesn't matter about me. The bigger picture.
Yeah.
Those are Tommy's words himself. They are my words, and I agree with him and I agree with you. The person that isn't looking at the bigger picture here is reform. And Nigel Farage is reform. Richard Tice, Nigel Farage, Lee Anderson have, I won't say continually because Lee's only done it once or twice, but Richard Tice, the deputy leader, Nigel Farage, the leader, the owner of the company pretty much, has continually spoken about a group that has nothing to do with reform. He cannot help himself. He cannot keep Tommy's name out of his mouth. Now, I'll ask you this. If there's someone down the road, a guy that lives down the street, and he's a bit of a problem to you, do you ignore him or do you go on social media and badmouth him? I would think that most sensible people would ignore him or at least just pacify him and play it a little bit more sensible. That's my first point. Let me come back. Let me finish. The second thing is my loyalty to Tommy. You're right and you're wrong. I'm loyal to all of my friends, but I'm even more loyal to my country.
Yeah.
And I tell you now, if Tommy was bad news for this country, I'd drop him like a hot stone.
Oh, I totally believe you. Yeah. So yeah.
Go, fire back at me, mate.
All right.
This is what it's. This is what it's all about.
The media one where you said, would you badmouth him? I'll be honest, I would badmouth him because I've done.
You know what's going to happen then, don't you? You know what's going to happen then.
Sorry.
You know what's going to happen then, don't you? You're going to end up with a bloody nose.
Well, I don't know. I'm 6'6" and 23 stone.
Yeah,
so
we're talking metaphorically, aren't we? Well, look, come on, we're talking metaphorically.
Yeah, I know what you mean,
Nigel isn't 6'3" and 23 stone.
No,
Nigel is trying to win the next general election. He needs friends and he needs voters.
But on that one, I would say now, like I say, don't take this the wrong way. You've opened this up for people.
Yeah.
Right. You put this out here that Farage is bad and all this kind of thing, and he keeps bad mouthing Tommy. Now, what happens is GB News pick up on it, Talk Sport, Talk Radio, Talk TV pick up on it. All the other ones all pick up on this. So when Nigel goes on TV and Nigel wants to talk about grooming gangs or the boat people or the NHS or whatever, giving billions to all over all the world, he never gets to talk about that because people just go Tommy Robinson, because they know it's all nice clickbait and they all get these clicks and it all creates them revenue. Everything else doesn't create revenue for them.
Mate, I agree with you. The thing is that, look, I get that totally, but this is where, like I said, look, having an academic education doesn't make you streetwise.
Oh, no.
Now, I'm talking about Nigel, right? Here's the thing. He doesn't have to talk about, look, he keeps saying Tommy's not welcome in reform. He hasn't asked to join. It's like me coming on the internet this afternoon and saying, I don't want a date with Kim Kardashian. She's never asked me for one.
No.
What's the point?
Yeah. That would be an interesting thing, though, don't you think? If Tommy actually joined Reform, paid a membership, so Nigel's got another click. What do you reckon?
Why would you listen? There has been all sorts of doors opened, all sorts of avenues that we could have tried to go down. There has been many discussions. There have been lots of routes taken, and there has been a lot of dialogue. But you cannot support a man that has called you a woman beater live on the radio when that is not true.
Yeah,
it is defamatory. And as I said earlier on, if it was anyone else in the political sphere, they would have a litany of no win, no fee lawyers shouting out, I'll take that one on.
Yeah. I mean, but I'll let you crack on then because you've got other people, like you say.
All the best, mate.
Hold on, I've just got one question.
Yeah.
And I'll put this out to all the people watching. At this moment in time, do you want a Reform with Nigel leading the party? Do you want a Labour with stuttering Starmer, or do you want a Tory party with Jenrick?
I think there's one other possibility to that, because it's very early on in the game, very early on. Someone messaged me yesterday, a football mate of mine, and he said pretty much similar to what you did. I said, mate, listen, we're still in the pre-season warm-up. We haven't even finished buying our players for the season yet. The other option is this: would we like Reform with a proper, strong leader? That's the other option.
I would, but at this moment in time, I think without Nigel, you've got to remember Reform wouldn't have been nowhere near what they are at the moment. At this moment in time, I would take, if somebody came up to me and says, right, you can have Reform as the party in charge with Nigel, and then a little bit further down the line, they have a proper leader election. And we go from there. I'd take that every day.
So would I. I'd take that every day. But this is something else that Ben Habib has been banging on about, and we still haven't seen it, despite Nigel's claims. We need to see a properly democratised party where the leader can be voted in and voted out.
But then you've got the problem.
We don't have that.
You've got the problem then, like the Tories, haven't you? The Tories have had so many elections, so many leaders, and none of them have worked, where at this moment, Nigel's in charge and the party's growing. So it's a tough one. But anyway, thanks for having me on, mate.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Look, I will say, I think it is growing, but I don't think that's going to grow for much longer the way it's going. Have a lovely day. All the best. Thanks for coming on, mate. Cheers. Right, last caller of the day. So no more today, please. It is the Renegade. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, hello, Paul. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, I can hear you perfect. Someone else with a pro setup going on there. Look, better than mine.
Yeah, well, I do try.
Go
I
on,
guess
mate. What's on your
mine
mind?
comes from more frustration with the whole Farage thing.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Is that, you know, after the Brexit vote back in, what is it, 2016, he jumped ship then, like the day after. And you're thinking, well, hold a minute. If you're campaigning for, as he always claims, oh, I campaigned for 30 odd years. And then the next day, when the vote come through, he naffs off. And you're thinking, well, where have you gone? Like, you're the guy we were following. We weren't following the Boris Johnson campaign. I don't think anybody was. You know, the whole thing on the bus and all that. No, nobody cared about that. Nobody's talking about Boris Johnson during that whole campaign. It was always Nigel Farage. And I just feel that, are we getting repeated history again with him? Like, is he sort of, he gets so far and then he's like, oh, I better jump ship.
Yeah,
I'm bored of this now.
Yeah, he does have a history of that sort of thing, I'm afraid. And it tends to be when the spotlight is taken away from him.
Yes. Yes, it's the me show, isn't it? With Nigel.
Yeah, he likes the spotlight. Look, I think it's important that we should remember the good work that Nigel Farage has done in the past. I think that's very important, and he's due credit for that. But is he the leader that will really deliver? Remember, the name of his party is Reform.
Yeah, I think a lot of us wanted him to be. I think a lot of us wanted him to be. We're like we've looked up on him maybe too highly, and you know he has said other things in the past that we've been, oh, hold a minute, you know, like for one, I've questioned Tommy Robinson. I've happily sort of questioned him on the Telegram and all that when the comments were allowed on there, you know, and I've happily questioned him again. And I've only met the man once, shook his hand once, and that was it. Yeah, probably forgotten me. But I'm willing to question Nigel in this instance because there's something not right. Something in the water isn't tasting right. Maybe it's the fluoride. I don't know, but something just doesn't taste right with him. And I would love to see more Ben Habib, but I think he's been sidelined. And it wouldn't be surprised me that with the way he's talking, that these certain shows and radio shows might not be inviting him back on. It just always seems to fall. The dominoes always seem to fall that way. Like you look at Piers Morgan yesterday. How dare he be allowed to say those things?
Wow.
How dare he? You know, with no context. The panel he had on. Well, one of them I'd rather he was never on ever again, but he's allowed his spot. But none of them were able to refute or rebuke what he was saying because it was a hand-picked panel. Piers had it on his script to say it. You could tell it. It was scripted. It was more or less word for word what Keir Stammer said. So I wouldn't say stuttering Starmer. I would say stammering Starmer because it kind of goes a bit better. But yeah. So why is nobody on his panel ever allowed to rebuff things when it comes to a certain person? Like it's always a weak panel. Like when we had like he didn't bring up when he had that Hamid Hijab on there. He didn't mention to him about why did he go into the Hindu areas of Leicester? Why was he going through Golders Green chanting against Jewish people? That didn't come up. But yet he's happily called somebody a racist who there's no record of him saying any racist language anywhere. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm sort of taking over channel. Yeah, it's just frustrating, right? It's just frustrating.
It is very frustrating. I think the key here is that people need to learn when to stay quiet.
Yes,
and that's been our message since before the general election. Look, we're fully aware of the dangers of associating yourselves with Tommy on the political platform. We're not stupid. We might look it, but we're not. Yeah. And, you know, we never asked for that. We never expected that. Tommy has never asked for anything. He never does.
But that's the thing, isn't it, Paul? They're being allowed to bring him up. Like these journalists, we know they're all, you know, well, they're probably taking backhanders here, there, and somewhere. They are mentioning it to these reform people. They aren't mentioning him, but they're being allowed. They're sort of, the fishing rod's been laid out. And they're taking the bait every single time. It's just don't answer the question. Do a Joe Biden, walk off. You know, if it works for him, surely it can work for them.
Absolutely. And of course, look, they continually defame Tommy. They slander him. I'm going to let you go now. Thank you very much for that, Renegade. Really appreciate it, mate. I'm going to play a prime example of what the media do to Tommy. Now, look, I want to just say again, let's take the character out of the equation for the moment. This is someone who has no right of reply. He has no ability to reply. And the people speaking about him are lying. Let's watch this. Whether you're
We also know, of course, that Elon Musk has had a go at Nigel Farage because Nigel Farage has refused to bring Tommy Robinson into the fray of reform. Tommy Robinson has obviously been vocal about this issue, although therein lies the contradiction here, because for all of his genius, wisdom and wealth, Elon Musk doesn't quite seem to understand who Tommy Robinson is and what he represents, which is a misunderstanding that is sometimes seen across the pond, you know, Americans and Canadians thinking that Tommy Robinson is some kind of, you know, misunderstood folklore figure, when in fact he's a convicted criminal and white supremacist who hasn't really done much. In fact, he's currently...
Let me stop it there. A convicted criminal and a white supremacist. And my God, where do you even go with that one? Rebecca, most of Tommy's friends are not white. His best lifelong friend is not white. Rebecca, Tommy left the EDL because the genuine far right were trying to infiltrate it. Tommy detests racists and racism. So for you to go on TV and tell people that he is a white supremacist is beyond obscene, beyond obscene. And Rebecca, people like you are precisely the reason why these grooming gangs have been getting away with what they've been getting away with. And the reason why you have a role to play in that is because people like you have silenced Tommy's message for years. So every one of you, when you look in the mirror, what was you doing 5 years ago? What was you doing this morning? You was lying about the man, telling people he's a white supremacist. When here is a man that travelled to the north of England to, under his own steam and his own money, to protect a Muslim father who had been wrongly accused of being part of a grooming gang. I bet you didn't know that, did you? My God, journalists, these are chances. Wow. Right, guys, let me go through the supers because there are a number of them. I'm really, really sorry for the delay in those today. No more supers today. We got 7,500 people watching. I'm sorry, but Rebecca, look, you're just ill-informed. I'm not saying you're an evil or a bad person. You're badly informed. You need to do your research because you're destroying a man, his character and his family and his children with lies and inaccuracies. Cliff William, thank you very much, Cliff. Green Leopard is a new member. Tea and Toys. I demanded to go on Piers Morgan's show to debate his Tommy diatribe from yesterday's show. Well, we'll see how that goes. See you on the 1st of February. You got a fat chance of that one, mate. They won't let you anywhere near. Piers Morgan is another coward. Pammy Telford. Vicky Farage is a liar. He needs to leave reform. Roger Taylor, Paul, have you seen Zuckerberg's statement today essentially replacing the fact checkers with community notes? Yeah, I believe he's taking his stranglehold off of Facebook. Tony Hall, Paul, Tommy should sue Farage for slander or defamation. The trouble is, how can you sue someone for defamation of character when the media have made sure that you haven't got a character to defame in the first place? Man's to see if Musk was recruiting Farage or Lowe. Rupert Lowe all day long. Fiona, thank you. Vic is a new member. Gray, we must back reform and pressure Farage out. That's my view. Ian Medford, Trump launched the sorry, I can't quite see that. I hated him for that, but I still voted for him because of political reality. Sometimes you take a bite of a shit sandwich. Very, very good point. The trouble is, I think that that Trump will be good long term. I think Nigel is an appeaser. I think he's weak. Fiona Cooper, keep up the amazing work, Paul. My respect to you. Thank you, Fiona. United we stand, divided we fall. Manchester C, hey, Paul, market mega, make England great again. Yep, they are on eBay, I believe. Andy, if reform sort themselves out at the top and accept us lot, we will see a political surge that has never seen before. It's the only way forward, in my opinion. Thank you, Paul, for everything. Andy, you're spot on. If they'd have used their loaf, they wouldn't have had 150,000 members. They'd have probably a best part of 1 million. Tanya, thank you. MJ, Tommy is a voice of the people, but we also need a political action party for the people or we lose it really. 2 sections of a whole. Yeah, agree. Thank you. Sorry about that. MJ again, the left is crumbling. Paul, now is the time. Trudeau is gone. Trump in the future looking better in fight back. Never lose hope, guys. Absolutely. Never lose hope. Andrew Wilson, wow, thank you very much for that. Really appreciate that. MJ again, no, you're wrong. Musk is moderate. He's far left some things, but right wing other things. He's moderate, lady. He said it himself. Glenn, cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Just me. I love Tommy. Also agree with that lady. I think Elon is WEF and has been trying to dismantle reform so that they can rule us and turn against him. Vinnie King, C4, doing expose or false our claims against Mo. Sorry, I can't quite get that one. DJ Media, how you doing, mate? Paul, great work. Trump and Musk for the win. Appreciate that. DJ Media should get a prize for finding the most stupid coppers that exist in the world. Why they always rise to it? I mean, they're golden, they're golden contents. Hasn't anyone told the police that auditors go around winding them up? Oh dear. Right, guys, there's thousands of regular messages. Again, thank you so much. I'd love to go through them all. We'll be here all bloody night, and we're an hour and 22 minutes into the show. Let me just see, was there anything else I wanted to play before we leave? I tell you what, there is something that's really disturbing. Really disturbing. Watch this. I'm not really going to comment on this, but I want you to make your own minds up and see what you and decide what you're seeing here. Am I going mad? Am I living in some crazy virtual world where insanity has overtaken, where we're living in an asylum? Watch this.
Just say, in that vein, a word on the Prime Minister's comments this morning. It is not far right to stand up for victims of mass rape. And smearing people.
Order.
It's those concerns.
Shadows. People want to hear the statement. Chris Phil.
Smearing people who raise those issues is exactly how this ended up getting covered up in the first place.
I don't think I've got any more to say. I think I'm going to leave you with that. Look, the only thing that I would say before I go, and I think I should say this, is that I know a lot of people are frustrated out there. I know a lot of people are angry, and I know a lot of people are fed up. But we will get there eventually. We'll keep on battling, and we must always remain calm and within the law. Our job is to make sure that people don't become radicalized by this stuff. And I fear that there are people out there that will allow this frustration and this hatred aimed at them to potentially radicalize them. We must turn them back from that, and we must make sure that people that are frustrated and angry vent their frustration and anger in the right and correct fashions. So my message to anyone out there that is pissed off, that is fed up, that is angry, Don't do anything wrong. Don't do anything illegal. Don't do anything that could get you into trouble. Stay calm, be respectful, and do things the right way. Right, guys, love you all. Thank you so much for joining us. What a brilliant crowd again we've had today. A great show, one of the best, I think, for a long time. And who made that show today? You guys. This is your show. We are the voice of the people. Never mind about GB News and Talk TV. We are the voice of the people. Have a great day, everyone. See you soon.